So it's no secret, I am a huge fan of anything Arri. Of course, the Arri Alexa camera, and then how about lighting? Well, there's the Arri Sky panel, and then how about stabilization? There's the Arri Trinity. I mean, they make the best of the best stuff. I swear, if there was a pencil sharpener with that logo on there, I would go out and get it. I'd probably max out some credit cards to do so, but you know what? It's gonna be the best pencil sharpener that's ever existed. And every time they release something, it's designed to be an industry standard for a very long time. It's not like they pop out a new camera every 6 months. So you can imagine how excited I get every time they release anything new. Now, some of you may remember that a while back, I made a video with Art from Arri about the signature prime lenses. We go ahead and do a nice deep dive into their prime lenses, but now they have something new to announce, which is their signature zooms. So as you can imagine, there's the signature primes. Now they come in zooms, and we get to take a sneak peek at some of the prototypes. So let's go to the test shoot.
It's really cool to have a zoom on the Trinity. It feels really good. It's got really nice pan inertia, really stable build this way. Surprisingly not that heavy.
Didn't you go out to Vegas to shoot those music videos for the weekend?
Yeah, I did 2 of them. I did the Heartless video, which you maybe saw me using the Trinity on the little electric vehicle. And then I also did the Blinding Lights video with the Artemis system, yeah.
That's awesome.
We were on very wide lenses a lot of the time. You know, it's Vegas, it's a Fear and Loathing kind of vibe and style. And we got really weird with it. You know, we're doing Dutching and rolling, and you know, one of the things that's cool about the Trinity is you can get a much more extreme angle than you can with a normal system. You know, with a regular Steadicam, I'd have to be here doing this to get that shot. But with the Trinity, it's trivial. So very low and also very high angle shots, which we're doing a lot of both of that.
So what are some of the shots that you're trying to get here today?
So using the zoom, we're zoomed way in at the beginning. We start zooming out and we pull out over the table, which is why we're on Trinity, so that we could get in over the table on his face and then pulling out. And then we're backing up into a wide to see the whole table. They zoom out for that. And then as he's having a realization about what the conversation means, at the end, we're pushing between the 2 people and back onto him and zooming in at the end. Zoom helps us get nice and tight on it and nice and wide as well. It feels like it's perfectly built for this kind of setup. It's everything I was hoping it would be, you know? It looks like a signature, and normally when people start talking about putting a zoom on the Trinity, it's a cool idea in terms of what you can do, but there's not very many zooms that will fit. You gotta be on kind of a compact, lighter weight zoom that's usually making some trade-offs in terms of its optical quality, and I don't think this one is.
We usually do these very kind of traditional show reels. This time we're trying to have fun with it. It's a test or a demonstration in that we're hitting all the points we want to hit, but it's a short film. It's probably going to be about 2 minutes when we're done, and it's a heist film. It's great. We have some great actors. It's very funny, but it's also really well done. It's very moody. It's very dark. I mean, it's everything a DP really wants to do. We've been doing some day exterior. We've been doing a lot of night interior because these lenses do really well with shadows. We've just been pushing them a lot, you know, looking at all the stuff that signature primes do really well and just putting them through their paces and, you know, seeing how an actual television crew likes them because they're used to working really fast and they like using zooms. The goal was to make a zoom that's as close as we could get to prime quality, and we've kind of done it. We've shown this to a number of people. They said they think it's a match to signature primes, which is tough because digital sees everything. In film, you could get a match between primes and zooms because the film would sort of soften things and you'd have grain and gate weave, but you don't have that in digital. So the bar is much higher. So we worked really hard, and I think we've done it.
I'm the owner of TCC, the Telescoping Camera Cranes. Been doing that for about 25 years. I've known Arri my whole life. I grew up in the business, so I really love what Arri's doing. And so that's why we came out here to help them with their project. The idea is with these weights on it, you put the remote head on, the camera on, then you get the balance. And at full extension, no matter how long the crane is, it should be perfectly balanced. I mean, as you can see, like when it swings over, you know, it's just, so I mean, it's pretty, you know, balanced.
So how are you liking the signature zooms on that crane so far?
Oh, I loved them. I thought the look was great. Image quality looked really nice, looked really clear, sharp. This is the first time seeing them, so I'm excited to see them actually working out with clients on the jobs. When you have a zoom on there, you could do any shot you want. I was on the handle, but he said boom down a little bit, make it look more dynamic, more graphic. So I could boom down a little bit. I could boom up high if he wanted. I could slide over. And then the shot was pulling all the way wide, pushing back out to go up to see the Arri logo. A very dynamic move. We used all lengths, from full length to bring it back in, going up, breaking the building to full extension again. So on ready, we start pulling out and they start feathering the zoom in to make it look like one move with the telescope. And then as we go up, they start zooming back into the logo. It looked really good. And the lenses look really dynamic.
That was really cool that you could do that in just one simple shot. And you guys made it look easy.
This is the paintbrush. It's really the crew that makes it work. This is a great tool for social distancing right now. We're getting calls all the time because the camera department can be working out here. We're back there, the actors are here. This is all safe. This weighs about 5,000 pounds, but right now still it's finger balance right here, as you can tell. When it gets full length out there, I'll still be able to pretty much hold it with my finger when it's perfectly balanced.
What would you say the most difficult shot on the Matrix was?
We did the freeway sequence where they have that big fight on the freeway. It's like a 10-minute scene on film, but it took us a month and a half to shoot it. We were up in San Francisco and I was back on the back of a camera car. We were going 50 miles an hour down the freeway, flying from car to car, this close to the actors, that close to the cars. Very dangerous, very fun.
This might be one of the biggest lenses I've seen.
This is the longest one. So this is the 65 to 300. And what's really cool about this one is we're going to ship it with a 1.7 times extender. So it will become a 110 to 510 zoom. It's lighter than it looks. It's 18 pounds. A lot of zooms this size are a lot heavier. The grip under here, you should feel that. It's got a special coating that's water resistant. So if your hands are sweaty, if you pick the lens up, it's perfectly balanced around the handle. That's the way we design things. So it looks great, but it's really easy to use too. These unscrew very easily. We look at the entire lens when we build it. So it's not just the look, but how easy is it to use. All the zooms are going to be T2.8. For large format, that's a really significant thing because it's really hard to make fast, large format, high-speed lenses. A lot of zooms, when you go all the way to the end, they suddenly get a lot darker. So it'll stay 2.8 all the way through. And then the way it drops off is exactly the same across all the zooms. They're basically identical. And that's the idea, is you should be able to swap these back and forth, and no one should know that you switched from the 45 to 135 to the 65 to 300. And of course, they've got the signature prime look, which we designed to last as displays and cameras get better and better. It should look better and better. Whereas a lot of lenses build their look off of aberrations, and as displays get better and cameras get better, you see those more. The look of this is not built on aberrations. We basically kind of built a lens that has a nice balance of aberrations, so you don't really notice any one of them. And then we built a look on top of that. In 20 years, they'll still look beautiful on whatever camera you put them on.
This is quite the setup to go and film your kid's soccer practice, huh? But it'll probably look amazing. You could be all the way in the outfield and with the 1.7 times. So this becomes a 510?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it ships with it. It's in the case when you buy it.
What would you say the biggest challenge of creating a lens like this?
It's all about, I think, probably balancing the aberrations the way we've done them in the signature primes, but in this case, there's more to deal with because there's so much stuff going on. In zooms, you always have more chromatic aberration, you have more distortion, greater difficulty in producing a lens that produces high resolution images because there's so much glass doing so much and it all interacts. So the trick is just trying to find a way to, match the look of a prime with that much glass and that much stuff going on. A signature prime will still have moving glass because we're eliminating breathing. Well, in this, you've also got all the stuff necessary to change the focal length, and we're trying to eliminate breathing. We can't completely eliminate breathing, but what we do is we put it at the long end where you probably won't notice it. So if you rack from over there to me, there'll be a little bit of this on the 300 end. But if you zoom all the way out to 65, and the same thing on the other lens, if you zoom all the way out to 45, nothing happens. So you can rack focus like crazy and you won't really see much, you won't see any visible breathing. And that's because at the wide end, we know you're gonna see it. We can't get rid of it all the way through, but we'll get rid of it where you see it. So it's all kind of a balancing act. You know, how do we create the best quality, but still make it usable? Because we could make this thing perfect and it would be a tank. And what's interesting also is that these are near telecentric as well. And I think we probably talked about that in the last video, but what that means is if you look in the back at where the aperture appears to be, in a lot of lenses it's way in the rear, which means when light comes out the back of the lens, it's going like this. So at the edges of the sensor, you're hitting it at an extreme angle, and that has some really kind of crazy effects, like you can get softness and chromatic aberration and weird stuff going on. So by moving that, cheating that up here, and it probably isn't actually up here. If you look in, it looks like it's up here, but it's probably somewhere in here. It's an optical illusion, basically. The light thinks it's coming out from deeper in the lens, so the angle is less. And that's to optimize it for any sensor we can see coming down the road. And it's amazing that we were able to do that with zoom lenses, because I've never seen that before in a zoom.
If you haven't seen the deep dive of the signature primes that we did with Art, link right there, so you can go check it out. But essentially this is the zoom lenses that complement the prime lenses.
Yes, they were really difficult because you can't make a zoom that perfectly technically matches a prime. What's important is, do we hit the points where that your eye sees? Have we cheated your eyes? And I think we've done that, because when I look at the images through this, they're still nice and warm. You see a lot of detail, but it's not crispy, sharp. The bokeh is just to die for. It's still really smooth, just like the signature primes. I don't know how we did that in a lens this complex, but it's a match. So if you put this up on some machinery and take a really close look, it's not going to match a signature prime technically, but we don't really shoot technical images. And visually, they are the best match between a zoom and a prime I've ever seen. Glass is always a balancing act, because every time you try to do something with one element and one shape and one kind of glass, you kind of have to fix some side effects with another piece of glass. And it's kind of a ripple effect all the way down the line. The other thing, the reason why it costs so much is because the glass we use is really, really high-end glass. And that's what you have to do to kind of keep the quality up and the size down, because you can cheat with other kinds of glass, but you'll change color. A lot of times you'll end up with a cooler color. We wanted to keep the warm color that really pops skin tone nicely. That tends to be a more expensive glass. And I think I mentioned last time, some of the glass in these lenses is more expensive by weight than gold. And we've maintained that, but it's just, there's a lot more glass. So the chromatic aberration is close. There are some differences, but it's still so minimal that you probably won't notice it.
There's 2 coming out this year and 2 coming out next year.
Early 2021, you'll see this and the 45 to 135. We're shooting with both of those today, prototypes, but they'll be released in early 2021. And then probably, hopefully summer for the other 2.
And same LPL mount.
Same LPL mount, yeah, because that's the mount that's going to be on all the future cameras, including the one that's coming out next year, which is Super 35. But once again, we designed these lenses to be used on everything. I've seen images from signature primes on a 9K camera, and they held up really well. I'm expecting probably about the same image quality out of these.
Oh man, how beautiful are those lenses, huh? It sounds like you're able to get that Arri signature prime lens look in a more convenient zoom lens option. Oh, thanks again to Arri for inviting me on set, allowing me to film some behind the scenes. And if you're curious to watch the film, which was shot by the director of photography, Logan Schneider, then I will link that below. You can go check out their short film shot on these signature zooms. But that's all I got for this video. Thanks for tuning in, and cut. I said cut.